WNBA star Brittany Griner tried to call her wife, Cherelle Griner, nearly a dozen times through the American embassy in Russia on the couple's 4th anniversary. This was on Saturday. However, they never connected. In case you guys don't know, Brittany Griner is the 31-year-old Phoenix Mercury center. She's been detained since February 17th in Russia back in May. The State Department had designated her as wrongfully detained, moving her case under the supervision of its special presidential envoy for hostage affairs, which is effectively the government's chief hostage negotiator. So when you see something like that, or I hear something like that, I'm thinking, oh my God, we're finally gonna get something moving, because this has been ongoing. Again, like I said, since February 17th. So more about this. As reported last week, Russian state-run news agency TASS reported her detention had been extended until July 3rd. Again, I'm not sure how strategic that is, that it's a day before Independence Day here in America, but they did extend it to that point. So details of what happened on Saturday with this phone call. The couple has not spoken by phone in the 4 months since Griner's arrest in Russia. That was to have changed on Saturday when a long-awaited call was to have finally taken place after getting Russian government approval. But the day came and went without any context, leaving the anguished Cherelle Griner to wonder what went wrong and to suspect, at least initially, that Russian authorities had thwarted the call. I mean, you would expect that, considering it's been this long, they haven't allowed this to happen. And finally, the day of it seems like it's a bit of a tease. So more, because on Monday, Cherelle learned that from her wife's lawyers that a more distressing thing had actually gone down. Griner had actually tried to call 11 times over a period of several hours, dialing a number that she'd been given at the US Embassy in Moscow, which the couple had been told would then patch the call. But each time, the call went unanswered because the desk at the embassy where the phone rang was apparently unstaffed on Saturday. The State Department said Monday that we deeply regret that Brittany Griner was unable to speak with her wife because of a logistical error. Yeah, that's what it was. The department reiterated that it is no higher priority than the safety of Americans overseas, and that it remains in regular contact with families of hostages and wrongful detainees. So for Cherelle Griner, the experience has exacerbated an already simmering frustration about the US government's response to her wife's case. She said she's very pissed about the snafu, especially since the call had been on the schedule for 2 weeks, and yet no one warned her during that time that it might be logistically impossible because of the particular weekend. So back in late May, after Brittany's status had been changed and they extended and do all this stuff, Cherelle spoke with Robin Roberts, and she had this to say. Let's watch.
How did you first hear the news, and what was your initial reaction?
So I first heard the news through Brittany, actually. She started texting me around 2 a.m. that morning. Babe, wake up. They have me in this room. I don't know what's going on. And so I instantly text back, who are they and what room? And she's like, the customs people, they just grabbed me when I was going through and they have me in this room. She sent me a message and said, they're about to take my phone, don't text anymore. So I'm like, just call me when you can, And so that was it.
How long did it take for you to have communication with her again after that?
We're 96 days, and the phone call never came.
But you have been able to communicate through letters?
Sporadically, here and there. I'm grateful for even that.
This has been ongoing since February 17th. I want you guys to think about how then you expected maybe even the smallest thing like this phone call, then not going through and finding out it's your own government that was the problem. So there's more from this interview where she's still talking about Biden's a part in this and potentially support from him, and also how the WNBA is playing a role as well. Let's watch more.
I know that you want to speak with President Biden.
Absolutely. I just keep hearing that he has the power. She's a political pawn. So if they're holding her because they want you to do something, then I want you to do it.
And I know that Secretary Blinken has reached out to you and has communicated to you that top priority. Do you feel that's the case?
I don't know. I was grateful for the call. You say she's top priority, but I want to see it.
Has it been comforting to see all the WNBA courts with BG 42?
Yes, but I think more specifically, it comforts BG. It lets her know she's not forgotten. And like, obviously, when you're sitting over there in your country, they haven't come to your rescue yet. I know that it makes her feel good because she doesn't want to be forgotten.
Yeah, it's a messed up story. She's not forgotten. despite the way that this treatment has gone on since then. Cherelle, she's also talking about how she's still hoping to hear from Biden about this, but at this point, it's beginning to look like a no. So she has to go to other avenues. Maybe this one will work. Hall of Fame boxer Roy Jones Jr., many of you guys may have remembered here. He's man, this is crazy. He's a dual United States Russian citizen, and he recently told TMZ Sports that he's working behind the scenes to help free Griner. Again, this is when she can't get much help from Joe Biden. Here is Roy Jones there with Putin in August of 2015. No, this is not just from like last week where he's trying to negotiate this, but he does believe the friends that he's made in Russia over the years, some of whom are close to Putin, may be in a position to help her. He's even willing to escort the NBA star home himself and said that the path for bringing Britney home via a prisoner exchange, he's hoping for anything he can using his influence and his dual citizenship for that. He did say this though, I would put my life on the line. Take a chance to go to Russia to exchange prisoners? Yes, I would, because if Britney was my daughter, I would want somebody to do the same thing for me. Maybe we can get some government officials to actually have this kind of attitude, was.
I mean, just when you thought this story couldn't get any crazier, Roy Jones basically pulling a Jason Bourne and extracting Brittney Griner from Russia is where we're at now. And when I first heard this, I was like, man, this is really messed up. And because there's a lot of political posturing that's going on between the US and Russia right now, particularly when you consider, all the sanctions around the war in Ukraine, I'm like, man, they're gonna try to drive a hard bargain here. They're gonna have to they're gonna tell the United States, like, you gotta let go some of our spies. Then we'll give you Brittney Griner back. And unfortunately for Brittney Griner, she's not a spy herself. And I don't think that that's protocol for them. They're not just gonna give up, a guy, people, or man or woman who was found to be spying in America for just a regular American citizen, which sucks, honestly. That's terrible. I would think that Brittney Griner was a prominent enough person, public enough person that she wouldn't suffer these injustices. But it doesn't look like anybody's on the way to rescue her. And I think because sadly, there's not a lot of political weight behind it, which sucks, man. It really, really does suck.
Yeah, I mean, you said a regular citizen, and she shouldn't be seen so, but we see that the government is apparently seeing this. I don't know, enough pressure sometimes sends a bit of a wake-up call.